Hello and welcome to the MAC weather page for this Thursday, January 4th. And headlines is going to be the deep freeze cold, bitterly cold temperatures today right on through Saturday. And we'll have highs only in the single digits, and lows will go below zero, around 5 to 10 below both nights. And in fact, I think we'll drop below zero before midnight tonight, so that'll give us an additional day of sub-zero weather. And then I think Friday night into Saturday morning, I think will be the coldest morning of the year. I think temperatures will be give or take a few degrees, around 10 degrees below zero. And some local areas, whether it be Clarksville or Tustin or up near Luther, Harrison, places like that, you can see temperatures approaching 20 degrees below zero. So I expect, again, with temperatures around 10 below tonight, wind chills around 20 or more below zero tomorrow, we could see some area schools be delayed or closed for tomorrow, as again, this will be the coldest day of the year. And then I think we see some moderating temperatures as we get into next week. And some of that warm air will come in over the weekend in the form of 20s to around 30. And with that, though, we're going to have a light but a very prolonged period of snow beginning Sunday night into early Monday. And I think when all is said and done, widespread 1 to 2 inch amounts are going to be quite likely, and some isolated amounts could be around 3 or 4 inches. We'll have to keep an eye on this system. Sometimes they do produce a little bit more snow than the models indicate, and right now the models are not indicating a whole lot in the way of snow, only about an inch, but I think we're going to outperform the model. And then we're going to watch as the models continue to point towards a pretty significant storm for the Great Lakes for later next week. Right now, Thursday night, Friday, looks like the bullseye. Again, many model changes over the next 4 or 5 days. We're going to see these things flip-flop between strong and weak and north and south. So there's nothing really to get excited about until we get into, say, Monday or Tuesday. By then, we should have a pretty good idea of what may happen or not with this particular possible storm. This is a nice snowy picture from Laram, Michigan, taken by Richard from our London office. And again, lots of snow in some places in Michigan. Not quite like that around here, but still we got about 4.5 inches of snow on the ground. You can see out there this morning, temperatures mainly around 10 degrees to around 5 degrees. So pretty cold out there. Our normal high is 29, the normal low is 14. So you can see we're quite a bit below normal. And the record high is 54, set back in 1950. The record low is 16 degrees below zero back in 1981. And again, the record snowfall for the date, 6 inches. We won't hit that. The record rainfall, 1.09 in 1982. And if we look at the next picture, you can see yesterday we had a high of 19.1, the low of 6.9. We had a couple of hundredths of an inch of melted precipitation, about a half inch of snow. It takes us now to 15.6 inches for the year. And this morning we have a snow depth of 4.5 inches in town in open area. And if we look at the next slide, you can see all the sub-zero days we've had this season. We'll keep track of these. And again, look at the comparison to last year. And we're probably going to add 3 days to many areas here over the next 3 days. You can see that this area shaded in blue is, I expect at least some areas today, well, before midnight anyways, to drop below zero. And then definitely most, if not all areas, will drop below zero as we get into tomorrow morning and Saturday morning. So we're going to continue to really see the difference between last year and this year with the amount of sub-zeros. And not only that, but the degree of which we've seen these cold temperatures and the amount of them. You can see it in more of a graphical format showing just how cold it's been so far. And if we look at the satellite, you can see some of these areas that really don't move. They just change color. That's cold, snow-covered, and cold temperatures at the surface. And you can see the clouds. Of course, we have our big blizzard coming up the eastern seaboard, dumping a lot of snow to places like New York and Long Island, up towards Boston into Maine. And there's a number of blizzard warnings from the Virginia coast all the way up to Maine. And they're getting hard hit, and they'll continue to get slammed today and tonight before that system finally moves off. That'll allow high pressure system to move off to the east. And we're going to see this area of a little bit moderating temperatures eventually begin to press into the Great Lakes, and as it does, it's going to overrun the shallow, deep, cold air, and that's what's going to help generate a late snow pattern right on from late Saturday night, but more so for Sunday into very early Monday. And again, a couple of inches or a few inches of snow is likely. On radar, you can see that big significant snowstorm bringing very heavy snow to the coastline, rain offshore, but again, some of these areas are going to be measuring some of their snowfall up towards a foot or more. And with some of the winds gusting to 60 to 80 miles per hour, you can see why blizzard conditions are certainly expected across that area. For us, you can see some of the feeder bands coming off the favored lake effect snow areas. But again, for inland areas, nothing in the way of snow until we get, other than maybe a scattered flurry or a snow shower. Looks like we'll be dry until we get into overnight Saturday, but especially Sunday into early Monday. And if we look at the weather map, you can see the big low pressure system moving up the east coast. Cold front now well off to our east. We're going to see these troughs continue to pinwheel, and that's going to keep the lake effect snow going across the snow belt areas. And again, some of that could be on a very heavy side in those favored areas. And then as this high moves off to the east, eventually we're going to see a southwest flow, and that's going to create us some lift in the atmosphere, and that warm air will ride over top of the cold air and begin to produce that snow again by Sunday morning. As far as precipitation over the next 10 days on the GFS, pretty generous amount of precipitation. Much of this will be in the form of snow. And again, we'll begin with temperatures in the 20s and maybe even some 30s. We're going to see the snowfall ratios down there at 10 to 1. So none of that fluffy snow. If we get snow here over the weekend into later next week, it could be more in a way of a little bit wetter variety of snow, a little harder to shovel. But again, we'll see how that storm for later on next week pans out. As far as snowfall during that same period over the next 10 days, the area right now favored for the heaviest snow on the models, again, is from around Port Huron to Grand Rapids off to the north. Yesterday was to the south. Again, we're going to see these maps flip-flop a number of times as we get into early next week, and then we should begin to really hone in on that potential for a storm. And again, right now it's just a potential, but something we're going to certainly keep an eye on. As far as the forecast goes, again, next 3 days, highs in the single digits, around 7, lows 5 to 10 below, locally 10 to 20 degrees below zero. And then you can see we nicely warm up as we get into Sunday and Monday, but that's when we'll see some snow with that warmer air. Again, we'll call for 1 to 3 inches, and it could be anywhere from 1 inch to maybe even 4 inches. Again, we'll just have to wait and see how that snow pattern begins to develop as we get towards Saturday night. As far as weather watch this morning, you can see a huge area of the Great Lakes and Midwest under wind chill advisories. And then for the snow belt areas, the southwest, lower Michigan, winter storm warnings in effect. Again, when all said and done from yesterday right on through Saturday's final storm totals will be around 1 foot to maybe 1.5 feet, locally up towards 20 inches of snow, as we talked about yesterday. And again, winter weather advisories closer to the coast as you head to the north, as well as across the Marquette area. And again, very cold, very snowy overall for much of the Great Lakes, and that'll continue right on through next week as it looks right now. Thanks for stopping by, and have yourself a great day, and 73s to all.